Okay, so we have a very interesting question here. So I'll just read it out. With regard to the need of a valid basis of designation being needed to bear a label. Okay, so I could claim to be and call myself the Queen of England, dress like the Queen of England, have a matching corgis?
Corgis.
What's? Oh, her dogs. Oh, okay. Learned something new. Is that a kind of dog?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And even a small following. Oh, the Queen of England's going to have a big following. But that would not be enough to make me the Queen of England. Correct. Okay. Now and then in the West, one hears of somebody claiming to be a Rinpoche. Somebody who is... now and then. Someone who is not recognized by any of the lineages, even if somebody is, you know. Any individual can name themselves Rinpoche and be sure that some followers will gather around them, it seems. Correct. Those who question this lack of a valid basis of designation to bear the name Rinpoche often come up with the argument that because everything is empty and because we are not omniscient, anyone can in fact be anything. Who are we to know? And this is said, you know, we aren't omniscient. We don't know what level of attainment somebody has. They could be a Buddha. They could be a high bodhisattva. Who are we to know? Therefore, we shouldn't criticize. Okay? So how should we look at and respond skillfully to situations like this? Okay, so first of all, even somebody having a title from a lineage doesn't necessarily mean that they are a valid Rinpoche. If you're defining Rinpoche as somebody who's a recognized incarnation of a great master. Because even His Holiness has said that somebody, because of a great accumulation of merit in a previous life, even though they may not have even entered the path of accumulation, the first path, because of the great merit, they could be selected as a child and called a Rinpoche and given that kind of training and so forth. Okay? So even within the ones who are selected. Plus, sometimes they make mistakes. And sometimes it can be a very political process too, although we're not supposed to say that. But aside from all that, okay, then you get the ones who, as His Holiness says, are completely unknown or almost unknown in the Tibetan community, but they come to the West and they are Rinpoches. Or the Westerners who declare themselves to be Rinpoches without having something validated, you know, by His Holiness or another High Lama. And also, like I said, sometimes even it being validated by a High Lama, it doesn't mean that that person necessarily is a Rinpoche or that they have realizations. There's a lot of other factors that go into this kind of thing. Like I said, karma and skillful means and politics and all sorts of things. Okay, but in this situation where somebody's saying, well, somebody declares themselves a Rinpoche, you come along and question it, and you're told, well, you know, if you're not omniscient, and everything's empty anyway, so couldn't anything be anything, and you're not omniscient, so how do you know what this person is? Yeah, okay, so it's true we're not omniscient. It's true, I don't know about you, I'm not. It's true, you know, anybody could be a highly realized being, but the purpose of them telling that to us is so that we don't get a negative mind and criticize and start calling that person names and get really a horrible negative critical mind. Why? Because our having a horrible negative critical, angry, resentful, jealous, antagonistic mind harms our own virtue. Okay? So we want to avoid having a negative mind, you know, in order not to harm our own merit and our own virtue. Okay? So that is a technique for us to say, well, I'm not omniscient, so I don't know somebody's level of realization. That's a technique for us to apply to not get a negative mind. Okay? That doesn't mean that that person could, that that person is definitely a Rinpoche. You still have to function within normal, conventional reality. Remember I was saying, like in tantric practice, there's the practice of seeing everybody as a deity. Okay, well, just because I see Venerable Tarpa as a deity doesn't mean she doesn't have an ear infection. And it doesn't mean her ear doesn't hurt, I mean, I'm seeing that so that I'm trying to see her in that way so that I don't get angry. Why I get angry, I don't know, but I'm sure I could find a reason. But, you do that as a protection to your own mind. But it doesn't mean that she's a deity. Okay? So similarly, if I practice that kind of thing, well, I'm not omniscient, I don't know who somebody is, I use that to protect my own mind, but it doesn't mean that that person is whatever they claim to be. Okay, so we still have to function within conventional reality, yeah. And people can claim to be all sorts of things. And like I said, even if you have a chop, it's like people have fake passports. We can, just because you have a passport doesn't mean you are that person. So, so similarly. So then depending how you define Rinpoche, because it's a title actually that's given in a bunch of very different situations to mean different things, but if you have any of those, then, you still have to have a valid basis of designation. Yeah. But somebody calls themselves something they're not. This happens all the time, doesn't it? Yeah. We do it. It's like, oh, I'm not angry. Really? I'm not angry at all. I'm just saying this completely for your benefit. And we really believe it. And maybe we're not even seeing our own mind, that there is some anger there. So people saying things about themselves that are inaccurate, it happens all the time. Even, oh, I'm so poor quality, nobody loves me. Yeah, we say that all the time. Doesn't mean it's true.